So what I was saying basically is, okay, let's look at our costs across the board. Everything is the same except for the fact that obviously on the monoculture I had these extra costs with fertiliser, some of the chemical we put on, the extra time to run the header. So yes, the multi-species is still profitable, but the monoculture stuff cost us more, but it did actually return more. But then I think we also need to, and I know we did discuss that, the only reason why the multi-species wasn't as good, I believe, is because we didn't get the plant stand because of the seasonal conditions in that paddock. So, we're not really comparing apples with apples as far as profitability, because one paddock got a pretty good stand and the other one got hammered with that floodwater and that. So, I guess we can't tell the story that the multi-species was more profitable because the situation played out that the plant stand wasn't there to allow it to be more profitable.
Okay, and that's just purely finance, though.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's not to say that there hasn't been better things happening in the soil in Adelaide. The wheat crop that's in there now is certainly not reflecting that. But boy, there's a lot of other stuff growing in there. There's medic stuff growing, and everything's going mad. But the wheat's really struggling, you can't put a value on that. Well, I don't know how you put a value on that, but certainly just from a dollars and cents point of view that most farmers would be looking at, the monoculture was more profitable, but you've also got a lot more risk out there at the time,
And which one was more satisfying when you were harvesting it? Did it make a difference?
Look, it's certainly way easier to harvest these multi-species, no doubt about it. Way easier, fly across it and have no issues, as against the monoculture that was, it was just a pain to harvest. But anyway, that's life. You get used to these things, and that's just how it happens, So from an ease of harvesting point of view, definitely the multi-species was far easier.
If you're taking all that profitability into account with everything across the spectrum, both finance, time, well-being, soil health, how your farm looks now, the environmental benefits with regards to, you've had the flooding and things, actually holding the soil in place, which one would you tend to lean towards now?
I would think it's a probably break-even situation. Like if you're trying to put a dollar value on all of those things, and that's always hard to do, but I would suspect that certainly the improved return on the monoculture because of the scenario that played out in the season some of that would have been taken up by if you look at the multi-species that didn't financially perform as well, but potentially there's value there that we're not measuring in the sense of tonnes harvested and return per hectare. So there's value there that we're not putting into that, because I guess what value do you put on improvement to your soil on that in this early stage? I mean, as we go further through this process, hopefully we can see clearer value at what's happening in our soil. But right now, I've got nothing to measure. I've got no measurements that I can put a dollar value on that tell me that, yes, we're this many dollars per hectare better off by doing what we've done. So, my gut feel is we're not losing ground, that's for sure. That's where I feel we're at,
Perfect. What you've given me is just beautifully honest, and you're not being swayed either way.
I guess, I've had this bit of a discussion before, but I really think we need to be careful in putting it up in these gold glittering lights and going, wow, this is all wonderful and marvellous. Like the regen space, I guess, try to present a very positive side to it, and I'm not knocking that, but I think farmers want people to be realistic with it, I'm sure in 10 years' time we're still going to have issues and we're still going to be going, well, geez, is this right, is it not? Hopefully, like I'm just hanging on to this one block here with no inputs whatsoever. I'm prepared to take the hit, whatever it is, just to try and see if we can speed up this recovery of our soil and our biology and all those things. But right now, all I'm seeing is this wheat crop is just getting hammered to bits. And while I've been talking to you, I've just walked over into the monoculture wheat. I mean, it looks really good. It's about 2 foot high, sort of knee height. And it's really going on well. It's a good colour. There's a little bit of stripe rust around this year. I can just see a little bit in it, but basically it's quite good. And in comparison to that, we've got the multi-species paddock that's really struggling. It's only 3 or 4 inches high. It's got an awful lot of yellow on the leaves, and I believe it's nutrient deficiency, not disease so much that's the problem. I'm keen to get some soil tests at some point, just see what's happening with biology. Just to understand that, we're not doing so well on top of the ground, but we're doing kicking goals below the ground. So.
Yeah. And also really interesting to see once you do dry up, if that's ever possible, whether there's like a delayed response with the multi-species of it doing better because it's whatever's actually going on that we don't know about.
That's right, and that's going to take time, and you're not going to know the answers to that in the next year or two. I don't believe. I think it's just going to be a gradual thing, and obviously, if we get on the right path and there's improvement all the way through, that's great, and that's where I hope it would be. But we've got to get to that point first, haven't we? We've got to get to the point where we can actually physically, we can see that our biology is improving, and that's all great. But it's nice when then the above ground responses start kicking too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because that's the only way that farmers will come on board with this is that they know, right, we're in for a bit of pain for a few years, but the gain will be there. Whereas if we go through the pain for the next few years and then we're still not getting the gain above the ground, where are we heading for? Because commercially you can't keep not making money year after year after year, just believing in something that you want to think is going to work for you, but in actual reality may not. No one's going to buy that business model. No one's going to come on board with that because it's just not going to work financially for them. So
yeah,
that's the dilemma we all face, I suppose, and that's what I'm just trying to sort out this one block. I mean, the first multi-species crop was a really good outcome. The second summer one with the sugar dip in it was quite okay, but this one's really hit the wall. Now, there's an awful lot of things happening that we can't control. It's been that way. We haven't been able to get in there to put anything on this crop. But basically, the dilemma we've got is now, if you looked at this right here, right now, this whole crop, you would say is a total disaster.
And what are the inputs that you would have put on the multi-species wheat crop?
I probably would have put just a little bit of urea in with some of the other inputs, Ian Laurie's Active Fert, some Nutrisoil, some of those products in. And the only reason I would have put a bit of nitrogen in is because nitrogen is a neutrally charged, it's not negative or positively charged, so it does assist a whole lot more with getting the plant just a little bit of a boost, but more so to make sure you get the nutrients into the plant far more efficiently, I suppose, than without it. So I was prepared to break the rules a little bit on saying I'm not going to put anything in there, but only really to assist the plant uptake. What I was sort of throwing at it to help it out.
I think you've told me this, but how big's the actual block?
It's 10 hectares in the one beside the silos.
Yeah.
It's 4 hectares in the triangular bit across that black soil tract that you sort of drove your ute up and down on.
So 14.
So I was just comparing tons of that area to the same area in the monoculture. Just like there was more hectares than 14 in the monoculture, but off that same area, that was the difference in the yield, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up with more grain than that, but I just compared hectares with hectares,
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. All right.
That's cool.
Thank you. Excellent. Is that it?